Hello and welcome to Chopped Greens. I'm your host, Philip Amerine, sitting alongside a very clean Luke Wright.
I take a shower every day, so I'm always clean.
Right,
Maybe you should get some personal hygiene tips.
Right, but I was referring to your very nice and cleanly waxed leg. Now, we'll have a video of that later. If by the time you're already listening, it's already up. But it was an adventure, to say the least. Very adventurous afternoon.
I don't think it was an adventure. We all got there pretty normally. We went inside pretty normally.
Adventure.
I don't think you understand what the word adventure means.
It was an adventure. And, but it was fantastic. You got your leg done, and now we can move on with the rest of our lives. And let it be known to the rest of the world, Luke Wright does pay off his bets. So
yeah, I do.
So congrats to you, and another successful year done in the first place. All right, moving right along. It's interesting that just about one day after we get done talking last week, and some shows are easier than others. We're finding it's like on a silver platter. Other days we're scrounging. Last week that was kind of the same idea. We were scrounging around for a topic, and we made do. One day later, the news, the fire goes off in the building and the smoke alarms go off that we were sitting on some extremely contagious news. And that is Kyrie Irving has requested a trade off of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, this is exciting news as well as it is head-scratching. And it goes kind of what into, I said, just right after they lost the title last month or so, however far removed we are from Golden State's winning, that in my eyes, Cleveland would be best suited to actually trade Kyrie over Kevin Love, and we've seen his name bantered about in certain trade rumors. But they would be better suited to trade Kyrie Irving as opposed to Kevin Love, and it would behoove the entire roster to be a better team to go against Golden State.
I think in some ways it's true. I think that would help that if they had traded Kyrie, and I'm sure at this point they probably will risk losing him for nothing. But I think in the short term, yes, that would be a better decision if you're trying to compete with Golden State right now. However, I don't think Cleveland could afford to, because at the time, that was their future was Kyrie. Because LeBron, as great as he is, and although he hasn't really dealt with injuries much throughout his career, he's going to get older. And they'd been pretty open that this was going to become Kyrie's team. He was going to be the next face once LeBron did finally fade away into the background. So I don't think that they should have traded him. But, I mean, at this point, they kind of have to. Like I said, if you don't trade him now, he will walk away and you will get nothing. So I think it's very important that you trade him and you make sure that you get something back for him that you can then develop. Because you're done. You're not winning a title anymore. Trading Kyrie will not get you something back that will allow you to be able to compete with Golden State. And I think what this does is restore a sense of parity to the league. Because you're getting rid of Kyrie. He's going to have to go to some other team. And as some people have mentioned, they thought Kyrie might have wanted to leave because LeBron was going to leave. But now LeBron is definitely going to leave because he knows he doesn't stand a shot in against Golden State where he's at now. So the question is, does Cleveland trade Kyrie, LeBron, and Kevin Love? Because let's be honest, you're not really going to build around Kevin Love if you're trading away Kyrie and LeBron. You're just going to trade all three of them in a fire sale. So I think it's really interesting to see where they get traded and if they get traded to teams that are close enough to where they'll be able to compete. And not only that, but you might see a trickle-down effect with Golden State where they look around and they're like, well, I think I could beat this team if I was on another team. And now I don't need to worry about LeBron and his super team in Cleveland, so why am I still here in Golden State? So I think you might see a little bit of a breakup of that super team if they think that they don't need to be on that team to last.
Well, let me just start out just addressing it very quickly. LeBron will not be traded out of Cleveland. That's just set and done and will not happen. For one, you don't trade LeBron. You don't trade the best player in the game. That very rarely happens. In baseball, it's set a curse for the Red Sox for years upon years, and with Babe Ruth, and we've seen that happen. And beyond the mere point of that fact that you don't do that, LeBron has a no-trade clause, so that's a non-starter there.
If he wants to get somewhere a year sooner, he'll waive that no-trade clause, and he'll tell Cleveland to trade him.
Yeah, but if you're Cleveland, how much of the bad end of that stick do you accept when LeBron has the leverage there to say, I'm not going to go to a team where it's worse off because I'm going there? But anyways, let me just make this point. Timing in life is everything. Let me give you a bit of a personal example here. Yesterday I got into a bit of a fender bender. And, everybody's safe, I'm fine, my girlfriend's fine, she was in the car, and the guy even in front of me is fine. But this whole operation is going to cost me some money, right? So today at work, we have one of those worker-employee pools where everybody's chipping in $1 for the lottery, and, if we win it big, so be it. If we win and we all get paid off, $1,000, let's say, and I now get that money, and I can pay off my insurance as well as his costs and everything. In my eyes, that money is found money. It's helping me from a problem that I now have and I needed a solution to. You reverse that situation, and I win this lottery and I have $1,000, and then I get into a car accident. The way I see that money is different, and the entire context of this money as being I have it, and then now I'm being forced to spend it to this problem is different than me having a problem and now finding this money and being able to solve a problem with it. With that being said, Kyrie Irving signed his 5-year extension now going on 3 years ago, and LeBron 11 days later signs on and says, I'm coming home. That's a very different context when you're the first person with no inclination that LeBron is doing this, when you're setting yourself up to be the franchise person. You didn't sign on for that. Yes, you're getting your money. Yes, you're being paid, and yes, you're still a cornerstone in the NBA, if not, on the team at least. It's you're one of the best players in the world, as well as on the team. You're obviously number 2, in sense of it's obvious that you're at least number 2, some nights 1, what have you. But in your eyes, you didn't consent to that role. What you were consenting and co-signing onto was being the star of a franchise. And while most players pre-success would accept taking LeBron, when it's being forced upon you, that's a very different context of a situation being forced upon you. Nobody likes anything being forced upon them. Even success. A lot of times it's hard when success, because it's a trade-off. Something usually has to happen in order for success to find you. And in this case, it's touches, it's scoring, it's name recognition, what have you. It's still something that you have to give up. So when LeBron says, I'm coming home, and Kyrie's not condoning that, when problem and dissent happens, when a tumultuous offseason occurs and it's followed by losing expectations, falling short of expectations of championship dreams and repeating, this is where you start to see that winning deodorant start to lose out, and everybody's sweating it now.
He's had 3 years, if that was the case. He's had 3 years and 3 finals appearances to be discontent with being the second when he meant to be when he was supposed to be the first. You don't remember
that first year? There was a lot of discontent of LeBron yelling at the end of Kyrie, and he's sitting there and they're at the end of the bench. Kyrie completely unfazed by LeBron screaming at him. And
I think there's a difference between a little bit of an adjustment period their first year and him being discontent over all 3. In the end, yes, Kyrie ended up being the second fiddle, and he clearly doesn't want to be. He clearly wants to be the first fiddle. But at the same time, other than that first year, both year 2 when they won the title and during this last year when they didn't, you didn't really see that much. You didn't see or hear Kyrie. And maybe that's just because he's a true professional and he didn't feel the need to put it out. But I don't think that that's necessarily... I don't think he's been thinking about this the past 3 years of, well, I want it to be number 1.
Well, just because you don't want to be, if you're winning, that everything else is sacrificable. If I'm there making tons and tons of money, if I think somebody in my workspace stinks, literally physically stinks, I can forgive that if I'm making, I can ignore that with the success of money. As that money goes down, as perks start going down, that's when something that's been bubbling underneath the surface starts to get better. If perks at lunch, they take away free margarita Friday or, casual Saturday, things that are a boon earlier, that once you start taking those away, once that winning edge is taken off, things start to be more and more clairvoyant to where you notice them and they become a more than just a little pest.
But him getting traded is going to take away those boons. If he gets traded somewhere else, he's winning less. He's not going to the finals.
Of course.
If he gets traded, that's when all of his perks are gone. So I don't know why he would want... I understand why he wants to get traded, and I'm interested to see where he gets traded to.
Okay, so let's start that discussion, because to me, yes, it's almost guaranteed that he will not win as much, but if you're a professional player and you have that edge and that ego necessary to get to as high as you possibly can, not to be the best, but if you can modify and use yourself to the best of your own abilities, it's unavoidable to get an ego and to think that you are the best, whether that's naive or not. So let's say that he gets traded, and you said it's a guarantee that he's no longer on the roster. Yeah, it's no longer, it's gonna gel. And when somebody says, I want out of a marriage that they can't put it together for a year while the kid goes to college, what have you, where would you like to see him most? And then we'll get to what trade makes most sense. Where would you like to see him?
In terms of just personal preference?
Yes.
Originally, if you'd asked me this question the day I heard the news, I would have said the Suns. Thinking about it more and more, I'm not sure how much I'd like to see him on the Suns.
From a Suns
perspective, just because I think you'd have to trade too much to get him. But taking out the Suns, I think that I would love to see him in like a Clippers uniform.
There's definitely a void there with Chris Paul leaving for Houston, and they gave up, 11 players for Chris Paul, so they could definitely use something to fill that void.
Yeah, I think Clippers is where I'd most want to see him. See what he can do with Blake Griffin, but still being number 1 because he can actually play a full season, unlike Blake, and DeAndre Jordan, who clearly will never be a number 1.
Okay, so for me, I think the only one that would be the most potential to move forward would be if he gets somehow traded to the Timberwolves and they don't have to give up Andrew Wiggins, Karl-Anthony Towns, and of course Jimmy Butler, obviously. If he adds to that core and in return the Cavaliers get Jeff Teague, maybe a couple other expiring contracts and a couple of first-round picks, which in my eyes won't happen. In that specific regard, you'd have to give up Andrew Wiggins almost. But if they were to do that, that's to me the best place. Outside of that, realistically, I think the best place for him, it's such a interesting fit, but I would love to see Kyrie Irving paired up with Anthony Davis in New Orleans. That, to me, the pick and pop that's there, and even though Anthony Davis does have a pretty good handle, Kyrie Irving definitely has a nasty handle. He can just moonwalk around you on a dime and just make you look silly. And Anthony Davis, that would just be a great advantage, but it's not now necessary for him to always bring the ball up the court, and he can kind of pick his spots.
I do think that would be a realistic spot. When I first heard it, that was one of the places. I heard it when I was at work at FanRag, and we just start immediately throwing teams.
Just throwing darts out there.
Who could he fit? Who could give up? The problem we thought with the Pelicans was it'd be hard for them.
And it'd be hard for the Cavaliers to justify getting back Boogie Cousins.
It's one of those things where Kyrie is such a unique talent. Very few teams have enough to give up for him without
giving up something substantial.
Yeah, without giving up so much that there'd be no point in having him.
Right.
You know, like, yeah, we gave up this many people, but now we're literally in the exact same boat we were in because we needed all those people too.
Of course.
I think an interesting spot that he might go to is New York. If you could package Melo somehow, or to be honest, you might not even want Melo and you try to get like Porzingis.
Maybe, yeah.
I think that might be an interesting spot for him to land. I think the key is he will end up as a more extreme version of Isaiah Thomas with the Celtics. He's going to end up on a team where he's the star. He's going to have the ball 90% of the time.
Oh, I thought you were saying that he goes to the Celtics. No, you're saying he will fulfill the role that Isaiah Thomas currently plays for the Celtics.
I could see him going to the Celtics. You trade IT instead of giving him a big contract, and then you throw in something else.
Well, you wouldn't trade him to the Cavaliers. Isaiah Thomas on the Cavaliers makes little to no sense for me.
But for Cavs or for Boston?
From the Cavaliers standpoint.
Okay, then yes, that I can. Well, no, you would get it because you'd be getting IT plus one of the several of the billions of picks that Boston has, because at that point, like I said, you're going to have to start rebuilding.
Of course.
And Boston's the team to look to if you're looking for picks to rebuild. Granted, Danny Ainge might not bother to trade any of them.
Right. Now, when it's interesting that you say the Suns, because to me that's the most logical place. I can't imagine anywhere else being able to give you back a reasonable comp. Now, Eric Bledsoe is no Kyrie, but he will be able to fulfill some of that production that Kyrie gives you, as well as maybe even a young player. I mean, you get Eric Bledsoe and Josh Jackson.
See,
Kyrie.
I don't want to give up Josh with him.
So for you, it would be either or.
I would be. See, that's the problem. Is I don't want to give up Josh Jackson and end up with Bledsoe and Kyrie because I don't think that works either. I'd give up Bledsoe, T.J. Warren, Marquise Chris, some combination.
So essentially, anybody outside of Devin Booker and Josh Jackson.
Essentially,
all right. They're all right for you to get back in a haul for Kyrie.
Yeah, but I don't want to see you lose Josh Jackson and Eric Bledsoe, and I don't think you can make the trade without Eric Bledsoe. So to me, that's kind of where you're at if you're the Suns. But I while yes, Kyrie is a major upgrade from Bledsoe, I just don't know if he's necessarily worth it depending upon how much you have to give up to get him. I consider Eric Bledsoe to be a top 15 point guard in the league. Maybe even echelon of top 10. I'd put him in that 9 to 11 range.
And how old is he?
I want to say he's late 20s, maybe like 30 or 31. So, I mean, he is older, but I still think he's very...
He serves the purpose of what the Cavs would need.
Yeah, he's somebody who's going to be able to score on his own.
He's 27 years old.
That's 2 years older than Kyrie. He's somebody who's going to be able to score on his own. He's somebody who's going to be able to run the offense when LeBron is tired and doesn't want to. He's somebody who can rebound. Neither Kyrie or Bledsoe are really going to give you much in the way of defense. So it really is just going to be about scoring. And while, yes, Kyrie is a much better scorer and like much better ball handler, that really is the main difference between the two.
Now, it's interesting that they would come and sign Derrick Rose at this point in juncture. And to be honest with you, I'm not even sure what role he fulfills. And I saw the most completely made up, false, whatever adjective you want to use for a negative adjective, a meme or picture on Sports Center's Instagram profile or account, excuse me. comparing Golden State lost in the finals, added a former MVP to their roster. Now the Cavaliers are adding a former MVP after their loss in the finals, and it worked out for the Golden State Warriors. To me, that comparison is just... It was so incredibly laughable, I was almost offended, to be honest with you. No, actually, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was offended.
See, if you're Kevin Durant, you should definitely feel offended.
Yeah.
Like, are you seriously trying to compare me to Derrick Rose?
Oh, and it's unbelievable. I mean, just on the pure history standpoint of what that means, we look back at Derrick Rose and how completely linked he and LeBron James have been and are now. But it's just amazing that these two forces actually do meet up in the same team. It's completely different circumstances. Derrick Rose is nothing of what he used to be on the Bulls. But when we see Derrick Rose fighting LeBron James, stealing the first MVP away from LeBron James after consecutive MVP awards, and saying it's not his job to recruit LeBron James, saying that they could probably beat LeBron James while he was a member of the Heat with the Chicago Bulls roster that year. To
be fair, they came pretty close. If Derrick Rose had been healthy those years afterwards,
yeah.
There were several years afterwards where I think they had a shot, but then as soon as the playoffs hit, Derrick Rose would get injured, and we never got that matchup. But the Bulls still would give him a run. Luau Deng, when he was young and could play 50 minutes a game.
As a somewhat side note, that's the only reason I have hope for the Timberwolves, because just that different set of style that Tom Thibodeau has and that he plays with is such a problem for other teams. He zigs when everybody else zags. Popovich, to me, is a coach that excels at wherever the NBA is going towards. Like, he'll adjust and then go forward.
Yeah.
But Thibodeau is stubborn, almost not to a fault. He just realizes the trend and goes opposite and sticks with what he does best. Mm-hmm. And it's that style that causes defensive problems for other teams. And it's that reason why, if theoretically on paper the Timberwolves have a top, I'd say 5 roster, just talent-wise, at least top-heavy-wise.
Just talent?
On just talent, yeah. I mean, do you want to go a little exercise here? I mean, there's Warriors, Cavs.
Are we talking like developed talent or just raw talent?
I mean, raw talent. I mean, what are you going to do?
Then I could see it.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, I mean, I think they need to develop more. Like, I don't consider them a top 5 team in the league. If that's what you're trying to say.
No. And it's also, maturation marrying that talent together, and that's what makes teams so good. But just on a pure, NBA draft sort of thing, they would probably have right behind Warriors and Cavs pretty close to the top talent picked.
In terms of talent, I put them well ahead of the Cavs.
Well ahead of the Cavs.
The Cavs have
LeBron
at the moment
Kyrie
3. And if we're being
at the moment,
at the moment 3,
yes,
and then Kyrie's going to be gone soon. And if you lose Kyrie, it is possible you trade away Kevin Love to try to get something else in some sort of trade.
Well, but okay, so I want to go to that narrative that you're here selling. So you're saying that the Cavs will trade Kyrie, get Gazoon type for him, and then be on this fire sale trying to sell Kevin Love now, and then LeBron's just going to be left alone?
I think they try to trade all 3. You're the one who doesn't think they can trade LeBron. I think they absolutely can.
There's no way. Because just based on the fact of you have to make salaries match, what are they going to trade for Kyrie that get back that's just awful? What realistically could they get back to where they're, could they trade maybe, I don't know, like trade to the Bucks and trade for Jabari Parker and then just get fleeced on that deal? I mean,
You don't have to
abhor that move.
You don't have to match salaries perfectly.
Right. I mean, you have a little wiggle room, but I mean,
but you also can throw in draft picks and such to help even it out. Pretty sure you can. But even if you can't, I guarantee you they can add enough contracts together.
Yeah, most teams
waive people when they get
PJ Tucker here and there.
I'm just saying,
make the contract.
You could easily trade all 3 of them. And to be honest, why wouldn't you?
Well, I mean,
LeBron clearly is not going to be able to win without Kyrie.
At that point, you would probably want to trade Tristan Thompson as well. I mean,
I'm looking to do a full-on fire sale. If I'm I already forgot the new Cavs GM, like Kobe Altman or something like that.
I'll check it out.
While he's checking that out, if I'm him, I'm looking through and I'm calling every team. Hey, what do you want? You're going to throw in some draft picks, right? Deal. And I'm going to do that.
The Cavaliers have completely sold their stock in the future for a team winning now.
For LeBron and the Love, they either between
Altman, by the way.
Kobe Altman?
Altman, yes.
Yeah.
With a Y, not an I.
Ooh. With when LeBron got there, they stopped losing.
Of course.
So they stop losing, their draft picks start to become less and less meaningful. Then you traded away your cornerstone in Wiggins for Kevin Love.
Can you imagine that team if they still had Wiggins? And like what else, other pieces they could have traded, to get different...
No, and that's what I'm saying, is at this point, you have no young prospects on your team.
If they knew the direction that the NBA was going in, they would have never traded for Love, and they could still have Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and a lot of other pieces to trade for more. They traded 2 number one. I mean, they traded Anthony Bennett, a number 1 pick, as well as Andrew Wiggins. So I mean, theoretically, they just had way more. I'm sorry, that's in my history of what ifs.
But what I'm saying is, you don't have anybody to build around who's young.
That's
because the one person,
Tristan Thompson, is...
the fact that somebody was dumb enough to try to say building around Tristan Thompson is a joke. Building around Tristan Thompson is literally the worst idea I've ever heard of in the NBA universe.
And this comes from the man who picked the Toronto Raptors.
Exactly.
Tristan Thompson is 26 years old. I believe a year older than Kyrie, right?
Yes, because Kyrie's 25.
Yes.
But Tristan, all he does is rebound, and he was getting out-rebounded by Steph Curry during the finals.
I think even Zaza at a point had more rebounds than him, and he was only playing a minute?
It was just... You need to... The Tristan Thompson, you need to trade away, and you need to realize you're going to lose that trade. But you also need to trade away Kyrie for sure, throw away Love, get whatever you can back from him, as many draft picks as you can get. Same in LeBron.
And here's the thing, Luke. Every single one of their players, every single one, you can make an argument, if not just a flatline statement, that they're overpaid.
They absolutely are.
I mean, who...
Because LeBron was telling them to overpay everyone.
Tristan Thompson and JR just stand out. I mean, they're not Luol Deng and Mozgov contracts where they're just so completely awful that it handcuffs them. But they're pretty bad. I mean, for what
when
you're
you combine them, they are.
They are, yes. They're separate but equal.
Name 3 players on the Cavs roster under 28.
You can't do it.
You can't. You got Thompson and Irving. Everyone else who plays minutes on that team is old.
Well, the only other one I can think of was Jackson or whoever looked really well with LeBron towards the end of last year. But even then, I think his year...
I don't even know who you're talking about.
He spelled in for a couple minutes, but he didn't play at all in the postseason. Anyways, the point is you're absolutely
Deron
correct.
Williams, old. J.R. Smith, old. Kyle Korver, old. Richard Jefferson, old AF.
Well, yeah.
Channing Frye, old.
To be fair, though, I mean, Kyle Korver's not...
He's like 31, I think.
Yeah.
I think he might even be older.
Yeah, he's not completely, couch potato.
He is up there, though.
Let's check this out. He is... Well, maybe you're right. He is 36 years old.
Yeah,
okay.
I know I'm right.
All right, okay.
I think you're forgetting those Chicago Bulls years.
Oh, yeah, I am. Wow.
So, yeah, you literally have a team that is designed to win now, and you're going to lose your youngest, second most talented piece because he doesn't want to be with you. And at that point, you trade LeBron to a contender or someone who's fringe contender. You trade LeBron to a Portland and get C.J. McCollum and draft picks.
That's not a bad trade.
No, because Portland instantly moves to contender status.
And you can actually move Damian Lillard down to the true point of point guard.
Yeah, you can trade LeBron to a Western Conference team because they will immediately be bumped up to a contender, and you can get a good young player from them, draft picks, and then maybe even a role player or two.
But why? But
you're not going to win. Why would you keep him? You're not going to win.
But it's not about them wanting to keep him. It's the absolute leverage of why would even LeBron waive his no-trade clause for that trade?
Because he knows he's going to have a better shot at winning with Damian Lillard and I think Nurkic is with them.
Yeah.
But he knows he's going to have a better shot winning there than he is with Kevin Love and 55-year-old men.
That's just...
And it doesn't have to be Portland. It can be another team. Portland was just the one I pulled out of my head because they had a young player.
I cannot get over that fact of calculated LeBron, who sees himself a year in the future, knows his next move, very rarely makes a misstep. I can't see him waiving his no-trade clause for something that doesn't logically make sense. The only thing that makes sense is if he's traded for... not exactly Carmelo, but somebody like Carmelo where he's a step away. Obviously, it wouldn't be Carmelo, but I'm just saying somebody who was good and now he's replacing that and being a great piece on a
I'm going to list you a bunch of teams.
Okay.
You tell me if you think with LeBron James on their team, you think they could win against Golden State.
Well, let me just add this asterisk. Do I have to take away their best player in order for this trade to work?
Not necessarily their best player.
Okay,
we can try.
I'll do this. You give me the team and which player they have, significant player they have to give up, and I'll let you know.
Okay. To be fair, it will probably be several players sometimes, and then draft.
Well, but I mean that's what I'm saying.
No, I understand what you're saying. Let's start Golden State.
All right, so they get rid of awful, crappy Klay Thompson and get back LeBron James. Yes, that would.
San Antonio. You probably trade away the contracts of
LaMarcus Aldridge.
You're giving away
Green.
Yeah, you're probably giving up LaMarcus Aldridge, Danny Green, maybe a draft pick or two, possibly Pau Gasol.
Dang! If any team could do it with just two players, that
you put him alongside Kawhi, Tony Parker.
Wow, that's tough. I don't know that it's a set thing that they could beat Golden State,
but they could definitely give them a run.
That. Okay, continue.
Houston, you'd probably have to give up a lot of part-timers that you might not necessarily have now that you gave them all up to LA.
Yeah, who do they trade to make that work?
The only thing I could think of is they'd have to center it around basically mortgaging their future and trade maybe like
pretty much
Nene, Capella. Oh no, I think Capella signed with the Thunder. You'd have to trade like Nene, Gordon, Ariza. You'd have to trade a couple veterans on expiring contracts with a bunch of draft picks.
I don't think that would work logically, or even in this case if I take the premise, because that's just they're already having a ball problem, and now add LeBron to the people who needs the ball in his hands in order to work. I wouldn't see that one work, but go.
Talent wise, I think it's fair to say they'd be able to contend.
Oh, contend? Just be like a playoff
I'm
team?
talking about contend with the Warriors. Not necessarily beat them in 4 games, but at least push it to a 7-game series.
But continue with your practice.
Clippers, it'd be interesting. I would say no. I'm going from second to 8th.
I'd assume that I get everybody healthy. Blake Griffin, DeAndre. Sure. I mean, yeah, sure.
I'm not, to be honest, you probably would have to give up DeAndre. I can't think of anybody else that. You could probably give up DeAndre and maybe like Austin Rivers or Lou Williams, and you could probably get back somebody else. I don't know who from the Cavs. You might be able to pair. You might take the Tristan Thompson contract. Or something like that.
Okay, maybe that would work. Okay, yeah. Okay, I like that. Continue.
There's the Utah Jazz. Who probably not.
No.
I like what they're doing, but with Gordon Hayward gone now, I don't even know if they'd have enough assets to. But you have the Thunder, who you trade away.
Paul George.
You might be able to trade away Paul George. You might be able to to get
Sure, well, you'd probably trade.
No, because I don't think they'd want Paul
No,
George. Because
no.
Paul George would immediately say, "Yeah, bye."
Maybe Steven Adams you get rid of.
You'd have to trade away
Somebody.
2 or 3 good young players and then draft picks.
I don't like that chemistry, but sure, yes, I can see your point.
Memphis, you trade Mike Conley.
I like Mike Conley. I have like a weird man crush with Mike Conley.
Same, actually.
But,
I mean, that
in order to make this work,
you'd have to trade away,
Marc Gasol along with LeBron James,
or even flip it: Mike Conley and LeBron James, and you trade Marc Gasol. You're trading one of them,
right? Of course. No, probably not.
And then, like we talked about, Portland, you'd have to trade McCollum and draft picks and maybe like 1 or 2 other contracts. And without seeing the full rosters, I'm not sure who all it would fit.
Right. Okay, so anyways, I understand your exercise here.
But if you don't think that at least that, and that's just the teams in the playoffs. I think someone like a New Orleans
would definitely give
a Minnesota,
and that would be an interesting team. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, that'd be top heavy as poop, but it would make the Warriors think twice.
Minnesota,
because they have size as well as they have shooting.
And LA, I think the Lakers. Yeah, I think if the Lakers get LeBron James, I think somebody like a Brandon Ingram and a Lonzo Ball would have to would develop a lot faster.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, you wouldn't be able to trade for LeBron James and not give up one of them.
Oh God, no. But even just keeping one, I think would be enough to keep it. And then like Minnesota, I think if you went there, they'd have to trade probably Wiggins or maybe someone else.
I don't hate that. I like that. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns gives you size, and Jimmy Butler as a shooting guard, oversized shooting guard, point guard even maybe.
Got Jeff Teague as your point guard. Jeff Teague would. But so I'm just saying.
Okay, so anyways, I understand your exercise, but I'm telling you on the base level of where it falls apart to me is the simple fact that LeBron James will not go somewhere that it would lessen their talent. I would say that he would go to Portland if he could get Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, and Nurkic. He would go to Minnesota if he got Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jimmy Butler. But as soon as you take away one of those pieces and add him in, he's just doing a dance of the lemons. What does that matter?
Minnesota, I think he could. Because Minnesota, there's enough talent there. If they get rid of Wiggins, he'll be more of an upgrade than I think you're giving credit for. Now, someone like a...
Well, I'm just saying, they would be on par. Like, that would be the one team where I could see if he goes and he were to take, just be an oversized point for them, let's just theoretically say, and, slide above Jeff Teague, and it would just those 4 on a team. That's a great team to compete against the Warriors. Of course, now we're in La La Land. That just makes not the movie, but it makes no... It doesn't make sense for just under the statute of reasonable limitations of where LeBron needs max money. It needs to be a trade that makes sense, and it's Minnesota. I mean, it's freaking Minnesota. So this has been an interesting exercise. I'm sure in the weeks to follow, we'll follow Kyrie, see if and when he goes, and I don't know that he will. I think that this will be a forced marriage for one more year. They'll try and sell Kyrie on the future and say, listen, he's going to be gone. I know it's going to be a barren wasteland, but we'll try and trade Kevin Love. We'll try and trade Tristan Thompson. We will rebuild around you.
That will be the dumbest possible outcome.
I'm just saying. Because they have 2 years after that to trade him. So.
You can't... The longer you wait, the less value you have with Kyrie. The longer you wait, and let's say you do convince him, you will be a barren wasteland, and then he's definitely not going to want to be there because he's looking at John Wall and he's looking at Damian Lillard.
Great uncle nephew Drew.
Yeah,
where he has no need.
He's gonna be out of his prime, and he'll be looking at John Wall and Damian Lillard with their own team succeeding, and then he's gonna be in a barren wasteland not succeeding. So I just think that is the dumbest thing on all sides. Because then you're wasting extra years of Kyrie because all you're doing is fighting for the 6th, 7th seed and you're going to be knocked out in the first or second round and now you're wasting more years trying to rebuild. I just don't see any positive ending for Kyrie to stay in Cleveland, especially because we know how Cleveland fans are.
Oh, yeah.
They already know Kyrie doesn't want to be there. You think that they're just going to forget that? He's going to be hated in Cleveland.
You know what, though? If you're a Cleveland fan, suck some reality peach cream. This is just you won a championship. You got that monkey off your back. You're good for another 50 years. I just think everything is good.
I doubt they would see it that way.
Well, immediately, but once this is all done and you go in 20 years and you have everybody comes back, Kyrie and LeBron James come back and, celebrate them winning a championship way back when, it'll be fine. So, we will come and go to commercial, and after that we will have a fantastic Give Me 5 award-winning Give Me 5.
I don't know.
Emmy nominated.
I definitely don't think it was nominated for an Emmy.
Well, this session will be right after this. Red Ribbon Realty Group at HomeSmart is a full-service real estate team of Phoenix natives with over 15 years of experience in the industry. When you work with them, you have 2 full-time realtors representing your best interests throughout your entire transaction, whether you are selling, buying, or renting. They also believe in supporting their community. Use code word chopped greens and Red Ribbon Realty Group will donate 15% of their net commission from your transaction to the nonprofit charity of your choice. Visit their website at www.redribbongroup.com and find them on Facebook. You can also email them at info@redribbongroup.com or call them at 602-888-6638. Red Ribbon Realty Group. Trust. Commitment. Home. In the years to come, they will look back and listen to this podcast and they will say, This was
waste
the day.
Of my time.
This was the day I wasted my day. No, I was going to say this was the day that we remember seeing Luke Wright with a clean leg. That's how I'm going to state it every time. I realize you bathe. I'm just saying it's like, it's like how the kids say crispy. It's clean. You have a clean leg now.
No, the kids do not say crispy.
The kids do say crispy.
The kids do not say crispy. I
guarantee. I'm not making that one up.
You're making that one up.
No, if you have like a fresh haircut and you're looking extra fine, you look crispy today. I'm dead serious. I'm actually 100% serious.
I don't know what kids you're listening to, Grandpa, but they were messing with you.
I am telling you with all my heart. Okay, speaking of which, I will now tell you that this is Give Me 5, the part of the show where I've got 5 questions for you. Luke, you got 5 questions for me. We don't know what they are, but we will answer them honestly. Luke, would you like to go first or second?
Did I go first or second last time?
You went, I don't remember.
Neither do I. I'll go first.
Fantastic. You went first last time. I just was going to see which way you were going. But continue.
Did I?
I don't remember.
Oh.
Actually.
Well, my first question
is it about tacos?
It is not about tacos. Do I have it? I don't have a taco question.
Oh, how unfortunate.
I have one that I'll factor. Okay. I'll factor tacos into
Fantastic. All right.
Okay, so number 1. So for those of you who don't always know the background of podcasts, a little behind the scenes scoop for you. We got to plan these things out, and we got to meet, and we got to do them, record them. But sometimes, life happens, stuff happens. At one point, you get into a fender bender. At one point, you just flat out can't do it. And there was a day that me and Philip, were supposed to record our podcast. I want to say it was Monday. Was that the day?
It was Monday.
Yes. And then he called me and said something about how
I left my laptop at work.
He left his laptop
Makes
at
it hard
work.
to record a podcast without, recording equipment.
So what I did instead of doing our podcast is I hung out with a friend and we watched Twitch. And for those of you who don't know, Twitch is a streaming service where most of the time it's just people playing video games and you watch them and donate. And while we were watching this guy who clearly had on a persona to get more donations, he had a really weird wig and he was playing video games with sunglasses and what might have been a fake mustache. Honestly, we weren't 100% sure.
It was so fake that it kind of looked a little real.
It did look a little real around like the edges. It looked like that might actually be real.
What if he glued it on there with some Elmer's glue?
That might be possible.
I would donate a couple bucks.
We were watching him, and we didn't keep track of all of his donations, but there was about a 45-minute span where this man had $250 donated to him for playing a video game. That was just people were like, here's $100, here's $100, here's $50. That's not even including all of his smaller tips that were $3 to $5. But he had 3 people alone donate $250. One person donated 2 $100 donations. It was crazy. So my
It is
question,
outstanding.
yeah,
That's crazy.
he made $250
For wearing a fake mustache.
Realistically, he
Sunglasses.
made well over $400 in the time that I watched him. So my question to you: would you ever consider quitting your day job and becoming a Twitch streamer? Knowing that guy realistically made more than what either of us probably make in
All
a
day.
week, and literally probably just 3 or 4 hours playing a video game.
I would absolutely do it. You know, I go on YouTube and whenever you get into these new fads, I don't know about you, but I'm kind of I go in and out of fads. So whether it be food, one week I'm on a meatball sub craze, the next week, I just can't stop drinking Arnold Palmer's. That one's stuck. That one's stuck. But,
Rest in peace, Arnold.
Yes, homie. Whether it be, now I'm in a Potbellies phase. I love Potbellies.
Haven't been.
Fantastic. But my point is that, I get into these phases and, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I was really into this. I remember this old game that I used to play, and I was researching on how to play it because I bought the game. And in doing so, I found there's this one guy on YouTube who records every week like a new challenge on this game for himself. And I was just researching on how to play myself, how to up my game for this just stupid little game that I used to play. It was Civilization Revolution.
Oh.
I don't know if you remember it, but
I never played it, but I know what you're talking
you're
about.
aware of it, yes. And so I can't tell you how much time I've spent on there and how much time I probably will still spend watching that guy, even though he's the most mundane, boring voice I've ever heard. His play is fascinating, and it's just the fact that I enjoy watching the game and somebody at a mastery level playing it. So yeah, I would definitely consider it, and especially if he's making $400 a day, or at least
That was just for
that
literally
30-minute
maybe
period.
For the hour, I'd say he probably made over 300 just for that 1 hour.
Hey, you and me could play NBA 2K every weekend.
Let's do it.
We'll do those. We'll do waxing bets. We gotta.
No, you can. Shove it.
If you made $400, would you start waxing?
Oh, if we're making the money with the
yeah.
then
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Not even a question.
I was gonna say, come on. I have a price.
I
too.
understand what you're saying now.
Okay. Here we go. All right. My first question. Luke, obviously you know Nicki Minaj, singer of Anaconda, inventor of Prague. Well, she posted on Instagram asking her fans for help. Can y'all teach me how to use this? She said. So, Nicki has essentially become the grandfather taking a selfie when he means to take the family picture on his phone now. That's what Nicki's become. She's essentially just went on a rant just saying, so how do you do this? How do you explain it on Snapchat? Using Instagram to get users to following her to explain step by step what Snapchat is.
Okay.
So, I'm giving you alphabetically Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and Twitter. I want you to rank these top 4 social media sites for me, please.
What am I ranking them based on?
Just your preference.
My personal preference?
Yeah, just your preference.
You said Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter?
That is correct.
Twitter's number 1.
Number 1, top of the heap for you.
Yep. I'd probably go Snapchat. I feel like their content has been getting better. And also, I think it's a very good way of being able to get a more in-depth look at a person's life. Then I'd go Facebook. Because it's the originator to me. I don't consider.
MySpace is probably
I came
the originator.
after MySpace.
Oh.
I didn't have a MySpace.
I was towards the end of the craze.
Yeah, I very much jumped on it with the Facebook.
Okay.
Even though I do realize MySpace came first.
Of course.
And then I put Instagram last because I feel like I'd never use it because I'm not really that big of a photo guy in terms of Instagram photos, because I feel like Snapchat photos and Instagram photos are very different.
One you could do while being drunk, the other one you're doing it while being drunk through like a wine glass, and it's artistic.
Exactly.
And you're looking at the moon.
And so I think Instagram's bottom because 1, I don't take those kind of photos, and 2, because it seems like they just steal from Snapchat. Like with the story stuff and going live with Twitter.
Certainly. So did Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. So like I feel like Instagram's is the bottom of the barrel for me.
Fair enough. All right, your turn, sir.
My turn, and I accidentally closed. There we go.
He's back on it.
Okay, so as everyone is aware of, and as we are all desperately waiting for, NFL season is coming back in about 2 months.
Let's go.
And this begs the question. Of course, we would never do this illegally. We'll take a couple trips to Vegas, but how much betting are you going to be doing during the NFL season?
Yes. Well, just for everybody listening, I of course bet all the time legally, but
hypothetically speaking, I mean, if we lived in Vegas,
and I can't, it's not illegal to bet waxing bets. So I mean, there's some of those, but during the NFL season. Man, I have, so there's this group of people I met in college, and it's just us three guys. And
you met people in college?
Believe it or not.
Wow.
A guy or two. That sounds weird. But anyways, we go week by week.
And however you gotta pay, man.
And we do the lines, the point lines, and we determine, we are forced to play each game, and whoever gets the most right wins that week. Second has to pay a little bit less, and then third, third has to pay the most. And that's it's just an interesting way to make sure that you're into all the games. And then there's a yearly prize, at the end of the season, whoever got the most right gets another part of the prize pool. And whoever's in second has to pay towards that. So it's an interesting thing. So.
It's similar to how, like, something my dad taught me and something I did in school for a little bit was you took every single game and you had a point total. Normally there's about 16 games going on. Sometimes, normally less, week, depending upon bye weeks. And you would just take however many games were that week, so 1 through 16. And you put each one as a point value on each game. So if the New England Patriots were playing the Cleveland Browns, you put that as your 16. And then if you had two really good teams playing each other, you'd put that as your 1.
Or so even just like two bad teams or two really good teams, just where it's
you would put the point based off of how confident you felt in that. And then at the end of the week, whoever had the most points won that particular week. And then it was just a pool. Everyone put in $5 or $10, and then whoever won got it all.
Oh, that's an interesting one. And of course, not regarding betting, fantasy football. It's just so satisfying if you're winning. If you're not, it's just the longest trek. I don't put money. I haven't been in a serious enough fantasy football league yet.
That's fair.
I've kind of bounced around. I played every year, but I just have not found a home.
That's fair.
All right. Luke, health department officials in New York are warning people about a potentially rabid and, quote, unusually aggressive squirrel that has recently bitten 5 people in a park in Brooklyn. So, of course, it's Brooklyn.
Of course.
The New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene urged anyone who has come under squirrel attacks since July 10th to seek treatment for rabies exposure and take victimized pets to a veterinarian. Quote, this animal has exhibited extremely unusual behavior, and we are urging anyone who has been bitten by it, including any pets, to go and see your doctor or veterinarian, Health Commissioner Mary T. Bassett said Friday in a statement. Quote, most squirrel bites occur when someone attempts to feed the animal. Keep a safe distance from wildlife and never feed wild animals, end quote. Luke, with this seemingly adorable squirrel terrorizing New York, what standard adorable animal do you find terrifying?
Oh,
didn't think we were going there, did you?
I honestly, I had no idea where we were going with that question.
So it's all cute and cuddly, and then you realize that bunny is just absolutely terrifying to you. Which animal? Because, everybody, who isn't afraid of a shark if you're in the water? Who isn't, most everybody becomes scared of spiders, But I want something outside the box where you're...
Something outside the box? I love animals.
You're an animal lover?
I don't even mind snakes.
That's not bad. I mean, I'm okay with snakes mostly.
I've killed rattlesnakes to protect my campers up at summer camp. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Animals don't, especially like cute cuddly ones. Yeah. I'm not really... Nobody jingles your biscuits there? No, No.
Okay.
Like, it's one of those things, like, I didn't grow up, but I worked in the woods every summer for 4 years. So all those kind of cute, cuddly creatures...
You're one with nature. Luke Wright, the animal lover that he is.
I'd say the closest thing is skunks.
That's fair. They're
not really that cute and cuddly.
They're definitely not cuddly.
But I guess that's the closest thing that I'd have. Like, I would pet the snakes and stuff. whenever I could, and I don't like spiders, but I don't hate them.
Okay.
I understand they're important to the ecosystem.
That's very true. Without them, we'd be overrun by other bugs. So
Yeah.
thank you, spiders. All right, your turn, Luke.
Okay, so as we are all nauseatingly aware, Mayweather and McGregor are having a fight, in case you didn't know.
Oh, wow. When is it?
It's a boxing fight, sometime in August, I believe, maybe September. I honestly don't even know at this point.
26th?
Sure.
That date comes out. Anyways.
But anyways, McGregor has had 2 UFC titles in 2 different weight divisions at the same time.
First person to do that.
I believe so. I think definitely at least at those weights.
Yeah, that's.
But his last UFC fight was almost a year ago. And by the time he gets done with this fight and gets scheduled to do another UFC fight, it will probably be a year, maybe even a little bit more. So what I am curious about, and what I'd like for you to answer for me, will McGregor be that feared or respected in the UFC community when he does come back, since he just spent the last year not fighting in UFC terms and spending all of his time working on just boxing?
Well, just as an aside, Dana White, who's obviously heavily associated with the UFC. But anyways, he said that he and Conor have discussed it and that they're planning on booking a fight for him in the UFC sometime in December. So
it'll be a little over a year.
Yeah.
But he hasn't had any UFC fight.
Of course not. He's been training for this boxing match ever since his last one.
A boxing match every fighting professional has said will be a joke.
Of course. But to your point, let's go back to that. Of course. I mean, just like how we said Kyrie and all those other NBA players have to have an ego in order to be the best at their position, as do fighters, if not more so. You have to think that you're the best, otherwise, how do you prepare yourself to go into a brutal beatdown and know that you're going to get beat down? You have to think that you have a chance, a puncher's chance at least. But in this particular fight, I don't see Conor McGregor landing too many, if any, punches. And then I don't see Mayweather doing a lot of damage to Conor, and especially to the rest of his body, obviously. So I don't think this will be, akin to Michael Phelps racing, racing Usain Bolt on land and then going back into swimming and saying, will anybody fear him? Only the great white shark won't, but that's about it. So I'm saying yes, they will of course fear him, and he will definitely. To me, the only question is he will be making theoretically so much money from this. I don't know whether the hunger will still be there, because even 3 years ago, as little as 3 years ago, he was still eating off of food stamps in Ireland and collecting welfare checks in Ireland. So it's interesting to see how you transition in life from poverty to wealth and you become more of what you are. So we'll see if he can still, bring forth that hunger to meld with his talent. But otherwise, I think that everybody will be scared of him still. Luke Wright facial hair apparently is Warner Brothers' kryptonite. A new report from Variety details the various headaches arising from the extensive Justice League reshoots, from a ballooning budget to how to credit Joss Whedon, who stepped in for Zack Snyder when the latter exited the project in March after his daughter's suicide. And one of those headaches is a mustache. Henry Cavill, who plays Superman, is also currently filming Mission Impossible 6, for which he grew facial hair. Variety notes that he had been expected to be done with that project, but now has to juggle filming on both movies, and Paramount refuses to allow Cavill to shave, which means Warner Brothers has to shell out even more money to digitally remove it in post-production. Luke, give me the 3 best beards in Hollywood.
Do they have to be beards? Or can it be...
who has the best facial hair or has had the best facial hair?
Okay, well, number 1's Tom Selleck. I mean, that mustache is...
Oh, that's iconic.
Yeah,
that is iconic.
That's the greatest mustache in
I have
Hollywood
another
history.
one in my head that's pretty recently iconic, but I want to see if you get there.
Number 2, this definitely won't be it if it's recent, Sam Elliott. He played Morgue. No, he played Virgil in Tombstone, the older brother.
Oh,
So,
yes.
you know,
In Parks and Rec, he's the opposite of Ron.
Yeah, he was the opposite of
Yeah.
Ron. When he grows that mustache for his movies, oh my god, that is a thing to be.
There we go.
And number 3, this one's kind of hard for me because this is
There's
one.
a lot of people.
There's a lot, and I can't think of a third iconic one off the top of my head. Because Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott are always my first 2 go-tos, always.
Okay.
Number 3,
Duly noted.
Yeah, just if you ever ask me about facial hair in Hollywood, Tom Selleck, Sam Elliott.
Okay.
Number 3, I think I'm probably going to go Jason Momoa from Game of Thrones, Khal Drogo / Aquaman.
Oh, yes.
He has a very nice beard.
He does.
And I mean, it's nice and thick, and it has that kind of like unruly look, but
He very
not too
rarely
unruly.
doesn't have facial hair at all. Like he can shave it down, but he keeps it pretty out there.
And an honorable mention, I would say, is Nick Offerman.
Yeah.
I put
Another
him-
mustached man, but beard. Go with Momoa. What about Robert Downey Jr.? No, doesn't. I mean, it's small, but I'm just saying that's for his look.
To me, I would say no, because it's a nice goatee, but there's nothing that special about it until you give it the Iron Man treatment, and at that point, it's not really Robert Downey Jr.'s facial hair.
It's
Tony Stark's hair.
Okay,
Tony
fair
Stark's
enough.
facial hair.
Fair
Whereas
enough.
Tom Selleck has that mustache everywhere.
All right, sounds good. Your turn, sir.
So, as anyone who follows the Twitter account of Darren Rovell will notice, is there's a lot of good food at sports arenas. He has a habit of just posting all the delicious different types of desserts and food stuffs that all
like
the different
sweets, the
No, stuff you can buy on the concourse.
Oh, wow.
Like literally just all of it. Yeah, he doesn't post the sweet food. He posts the stuff you can the everyday man can get.
Yes.
And some of it just looks delicious. And we are seeing certain venues and sports arenas start to develop smaller restaurants practically. Chase Field, 20 years old, has
Fridays.
that TGI Fridays. 50 Cent invested in the Effin Vodka Lounge over in the Suns Arena over downtown. So my question...
Green Bay, they have a Curly's restaurant on Mambo Field.
Yeah.
But
so
anyway.
my question to you, would you eat at like a legitimate sports arena restaurant? Not, somebody else's restaurant that they put in. But if they spent the time, energy, and money to build their own son's restaurant, hire their own cooks and everything, and have a full unique menu, would you eat there, or would you think it'd be too expensive and too much of a hassle?
Are you saying that... Okay, so yeah, let me go... are you saying like there's no game there and I'm just going there just to enjoy a meal anyways?
Either.
Oh, either. Okay, again, I it's good that I mentioned Green Bay because they have this Curly's restaurant there. I went there and there was no game at the time. It was it was actually right before the Cowboys Green Bay game where it was a catch, was it not a catch game?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like Friday before that, and we ate there at Curly's, and many people just go there just to eat, and we at the time, the person I was visiting with and a family went there and ate there. Best cheese curds I've ever had in my entire life. Oh, just fantastic. The reason why I say that is, of course I would go there. I mean, for a lot of those places, for one, Curly's obviously, but there's a lot of other places where that is a unique establishment unto the arena. And, if you happen to get a good seat and you're watching the rest of the game, I can't fault them for, charging for the seat as well as the food. But if you want to actually eat like you would, at Applebee's, and watching and eating a steak, I don't think that's a bad experience whatsoever. I would. So, that's how I answer that. That's fantastic. Good question. Scott Bloomstein clinched the 2017 World Series of Poker main event Sunday morning, picking up a cool $8.15 million in the process. Bloomstein was a dominant chip leader throughout. Afterward, he said he was ready for a break. Quote, "I'm really happy with how I played tonight," Bloomstein said. Really happy with the result. Really happy with the deuce on the river to steal the win. Because I was playing good, but I'm pretty tired of poker at this point, honestly. Luke, $8 million is a lot of money, but I want to quiz you to see if you know just how much it actually is. Oh. I'm going to give you some items and tell you, and I want you to tell me if they are worth more or less than $8 million, all right?
Oh, God. How many items are you giving me at once?
Oh, just one. I'm not doing one or the other. I'm just going to say, is this worth more or less? And then they're all pretty close. They're in the realm.
Okay, I understand what you're saying.
There will not be any, brushing your teeth, lipstick or whatever.
Let's do it.
All right, here we go. First item. The world's most expensive dollhouse, crafted over 13 years by carpenters, goldsmiths, and glass blowers. Was that worth more or less than $8 million?
That point could be...
I'm setting the bar at $8 million.
Okay. It said 13 years to make this...
Crafted over 13 years. Yes,
over.
That's correct. You're saying over?
Over.
That is absolutely true. It is worth more. It is $8.5 million. Fantastic. Next one. Action Comics edition number 1. The comic book that is known for debuting Superman.
Under.
Absolutely. It is less at $2.16 million. But still a heavy chunk of change. Number 3. Kim Kardashian, of course, second engagement ring, which was presented by Kanye West in 2013. He designed the 15-karat Lorraine Schwartz ring himself.
Over. No way Kanye didn't spend at least $10 million on that.
Wrong. It was worth $1.6 million.
That's it, Kanye? Get it together.
To be fair, it was your second marriage.
Okay, but it's Kanye West.
And fun fact, while I was looking at all the marriages, the most expensive one I could find was Jennifer Aniston's, which went for 4.3. The one for Batfleck.
And she deserved everything.
Oh, yes, she did. She earned every penny of that one. Number 4, a 1932 Bugatti Type 55 Roadster.
Over.
Way over.
Yeah.
$10.4 million.
Yeah, there's no way Bugatti wasn't over.
Yes. Okay, next one and last one. 1,000 years worth of diapers. 1,000 years worth of diapers by the crateful. Is that more or less than $8 million?
More.
It is less. $7.1 million. But that is a lot of diapers.
That is a lot of diapers.
That is, I mean, for that you could create, redo your roofing. You could create a couple rugs.
I think you could probably just buy a new house.
Oh yeah, at that point, that'd be hard though to sell $7.1 million worth of diapers. You'd have to sell them by one to, get full use out of those.
I guess.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, so.
Excellent job.
Do you guys want anything from me now?
We already texted him.
Oh, did you text him already?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure before you got back, and I was like, okay.
No worries.
No, thank you.
Okay, so, as we are probably all aware, LeVar Ball, while his AAU team was
I saw you on Twitter representing this moment.
9 points in a playoff game, got teed up, and I am 100% sure it was a very good tee by the ref, and instead decided to immediately tell his kids, let's go. And you can hear him in the video say, let's go.
Stay in your lane.
Immediately, his son LaMelo and everyone else went to the bench, picked up their stuff, walked off the court. Everyone else was confused. The refs were kind of looking around like, are you serious? The opposing team was kind of like, what's happening? Not LeVar's kids. They knew. They knew immediately it was time for them to go. And if you saw my tweet, you know that I think he's done this so many times. So my question to you is, how many times do you think LeVar Ball childishly forfeited a game because of something the ref said or did?
Well, I found it hilarious that this was the pot calling the kettle black because he got mad that the ref teed him up on using profane language to combat a technical call on him. And he used profound language. And earlier in the year, Joel Embiid had used some profanity to describe his feelings towards LeVar Ball, saying, I believe it was something along the lines of "shut your mouth." And LeVar said
it was actually just "F you."
Oh, it was just F. Okay, never mind.
Just "F you, LeVar."
I knew that word was in there.
He might have said more later on.
Anyway,
that was just the main quote.
And his response at the time was, I don't, if you need to use, profanity in a response, then you're not that smart.
First of all, that's the most moronic thing I've ever heard, too.
Yeah. And so I just found it interesting how there were dual sides of that sword once the push, came to shove there. But beyond that, how many times do I think he's done that? I'm sure when you're that competitive, when you're that, good, and he's a personal trainer, so I'd imagine he has to create dilemmas for himself and motivate and what have you, use whatever it is. I'm sure he's the kind of person that when you're losing a Monopoly and you land on Boardwalk with a hotel on it, you flip the board and the table. I'm sure. So I'd imagine that there's multiple times that this has happened.
Over under of 10.
I would say it's under. I'd say that we'd hear about it, but I don't give him, deny him credit for doing this at a T-ball level with LeVar or Alonzo.
I'm going 12.
Fantastic. All right, Luke, my last question. For nearly 30 years, Shark Week has been a reliable way for the Discovery Channel to create buzz for itself once a year. The public's appetite for shark-based programming seems inexhaustible. I can admonish to that because I love Shark Tank. And this year, the channel outdid itself. The centerpiece was a match race between Michael Phelps and a great white shark. But then the race was broadcast on Sunday night, and the high hopes turned to disappointment. The program seemed about as realistic as a Sharknado. First off, it wasn't exactly a race. Phelps swam alone, time trial style, in the waters off South Africa. It also wasn't exactly a shark. When the race, quote-unquote, was shown, Phelps was matched with a computer-generated image of a shark, supposedly simulating a real shark's speed. And the shark even leapt out of the water at the finish line for a conveniently spectacular visual. Needless to say, it has been the second biggest disappointment of the summer, outside of my decision of Rice. Luke, what has been the biggest viewing disappointment for you as a television viewer?
So, spoiler alert, if you haven't finished How I Met Your Mother.
Okay.
How I Met Your Mother was the biggest television disappointment I ever watched.
Wow.
The fact that they...
Oh, let me give you the pedestal here. Get on your bully pulpit.
The fact that they had the audacity.
The audacity!
The cojones. The courage
gall
to sit there for 8-something seasons building up. Let's meet the mom. Let's meet the mom. Let's meet the mom. Mom's dead. This is all the story about Ted trying to bang Robin again, even though he has kids, and he basically is asking, "Hey, you mind if Robin becomes your stepmom?" And that was just.
Lost it through his headphones.
What angered me was I knew it was coming because me and my dad had talked about it, and I was still in denial. Like, they're not gonna be that guy.
Oh.
And they were.
And
I was so angry and disappointed that I had waited so long for a happy ending to that. And it ended with, hey, Ted's first wife died, and he ends up with Robin. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I would have thought it would have been Batman versus Superman.
I never saw it.
Oh, well, there you go. That to me was just by far... Even
that's not television.
Well, I'm sure now it's on television. It was so bad it has to be cheap now to be shown on some awful...
I actually don't think it is on TV yet.
All right. Well, that will end Gimme 5. By the way, USA won its 2017 Gold Cup against Jamaica.
Call me in 10 years when I might care.
Yeah.
I probably won't, but...
2-1.
Woo.
Cubs beat the White Sox? That do anything for you?
Nope.
Okay.
Ketel Marte for the Diamondbacks hit an inside the park home run today.
And that you care about?
Just because the inside the park home runs are so rare.
Okay.
They're probably the rarest thing in baseball.
Outside of getting a clean hot dog?
Okay, I mean that's.
There you go. All right, I will close this off, and we will see everybody next week. Thank you so much for listening to Chopped Greens. Of course, go in on our YouTube page to see all of our old archived episodes, and to check out, hopefully soon, if not already, the punishment video that will be uploaded soon to YouTube. And of course, go to SoundCloud for all of our newest episodes and to keep up with all the Chopped Greens shenanigans. For
Luke Wright,
I am Philip Amerine. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you and talk to you next week here on Chopped Greens. Bye.